HR.
I see my name in shining lights, yeah, a different city every night. Oh, I swear the world better prepare for when I'm a billionaire.
It's time to get down to business on the weekend's #1 business program. Known as the King of Networking, your host, Shalom Klein, has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and created countless jobs. So, to success. Let's get down to business.
Let's get down to business indeed. We are all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship and business. We talk a lot about business here. You're on with Get Down to Business, and I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And while you are there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. It's going to be a jam-packed week of content and information you will not want to miss. It's a live show. You call into the beautiful studio here in Elk Grove Village at 312-642-5600. And we're powered by our good friends at Tandem HR, your solution center. Give them a call, 630-928-0510, or check out their website, tandemhr.com. So, as promised, we've got a jam-packed lineup of some fantastic people. You don't want to miss a minute of it. My first guest got to start pretty early on at the age of 22. He started in the cost recovery world. And in fact, I believe many of the questions he asks his clients, and really probably anybody that he meets, is, are you overpaying each and every month? That's what P3 Cost Analytics does. Aaron Stahl, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks, Shalom. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. So, Aaron, as I mentioned, you got started pretty early, and you've built up your business. I want to get into the growth of the business and obviously talk about what you do. But let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in this line of work at age 22 and what that journey has looked like for you.
Sure thing. Yeah, it was back in college that I first caught the entrepreneurial bug. And this business was actually not my first business. When I was 21, I recognized there was an opportunity in the real estate industry, and that was kind of the height of the housing boom, or when the housing boom was first starting out. So that was my first foray into business. I put together a team, started building some houses, and had some success there early on, but then also kind of got caught up in the tailwinds of the recession, and I knew the housing industry wasn't something I wanted to do long term anyway. So I started looking around for other opportunities, and there was a company out of Florida that was training people on how to be a waste consultant in the cost reduction industry, and there wasn't really anybody in my area of the Midwest doing that. So I went down there, got trained, and came back to Arkansas and opened up shop. So I went around talking to business owners and signed up a few clients, was able to help them save some money on their waste and recycling expenses. And then as the business grew, hired my first employee in 2007, and then we just kept adding more and more expense reduction categories and growing into the company that we are today.
I'm chatting with Aaron Stahl, the founder, CEO of P3 Cost Analytics, and indeed it's been quite the entrepreneurial journey. Many businesses along the way, but I can't help but dig in some of the words that you used. You talked about the tailwinds, and you talked about flying around, and I know that is a hobby of yours. You literally enjoy travel, and I believe you are a licensed pilot as well.
I am. I got my private pilot's license when I was 18, and it's been a passion and a hobby of mine. I've done some pretty cool adventures. I recently actually just got my flight instructor rating, got my instrument rating as well, and I've owned a couple small airplanes over the years, did some flight instruction up in Alaska a couple of years ago, and a buddy and I and another buddy actually took a small plane and flew it down through Central and South America about 10 years ago and flew it back up through the Caribbean. Working on a little documentary, so had a lot of fun.
That's awesome. That's a lot of fun, and it's important. The more success you have in business, you need to have that hobby. But indeed, that pilot's license. I know you talk frequently about trying to make sure that you get around to help your corporate clients save money, and that's really important to you. So let's get into P3 Cost Analytics. Every business, regardless of size, is spending money on utilities, telecom, waste, all those sorts of different things. But indeed, there is a lot of waste in their budgets. How does P3 help in the process of discovering that waste and or those potential cost savings? And what are some of the good examples that you might be able to share with our listeners this evening?
Sure thing. Yeah, our pitch is pretty simple. It's that we're going to use over 150 years of combined expertise in these cost reduction or in these categories to help reduce cost. And if we can, we simply share in those savings with our clients 50-50. And if we can't, there is no fee. So it's a completely risk-free endeavor that's guaranteed to be cash flow positive. And the easiest way to think about what we do is it's really forensic accounting. We're going in there looking at our clients' invoices, looking for errors and overcharges and opportunities for savings. So a good example, recently we worked for a school district, and we found some opportunity on their telecom invoices. They had an error on a tax that had just been probably fat-fingered by an employee. Somebody just typed in the wrong amount, and it was really difficult to identify unless you're highly trained in this area. So we recognized this error and were able to actually trace or get it refunded back to the point of error, which was 11 years prior. That resulted in $150,000 back to that particular client. So that's a good example. But really, we've got benchmark data on over 30,000 client locations across the country that we worked with. So we're also able to leverage that data to help our clients get the absolute best price in these categories.
That's awesome, Aaron. And I know that on your website, which of course we'll share with our listeners, you talk about some of the examples of your clients. You've worked with some pretty fascinating examples, the Coca-Cola bottling company, various municipalities all over the place, but small business certainly can benefit as well. So I have I guess a simple question, but one that no doubt our listeners are curious about. You know, as an entrepreneur, and you've certainly been through this experience as well, every dollar counts. Most small business owners that I talk to look at every credit card statement so carefully to identify those cost savings. What is it that you are doing differently that can? You sound pretty confident enough that you are. You're not charging the businesses that you work with unless you are actually saving them money.
Well, we found savings at 9 out of every 10 clients that we work with. So yes, we are pretty confident in our abilities to find savings for our clients, and it's really just because these industries are highly complicated. I mean, I'm not an expert in telecom or utilities. We have analysts in-house that are, but if you give me a telecom bill or utility bill, I'm not going to be able to identify anything. I'm an expert in waste. That's my background. But unless you specify and focus on these industries for your entire career, you're not going to be able to identify the things that we can identify. And that's just because they're highly complicated. So most of our businesses and clients are very good at what they do. They're really good at running their business, but that doesn't mean that they're experts in each category that they spend money. And that's where we come in to help. And if we can help them, we simply share the savings, so it's a risk-free endeavor.
Well, that's a great message. We say it all the time on the show that business owners focus and do what you do best and let others step in. But cost savings is something that really can benefit pretty much every single industry. So, Aaron, for P3, what's too small and what's too large? What size businesses do you typically work with?
We usually like to focus on the medium-sized clients around the country. We can work with anybody. Obviously, if they're really small and they're not spending a lot of money on these categories, then there's not likely that we're going to be able to find something. So we try to go bigger than the mom and pop, looking for multiple locations or high-volume single locations. And that can go all the way up to the Fortune 5. I mean, we could work with those companies, but for our ROI on our time, talking to business owners and decision makers, as far as finding the most money and getting through to those decision makers so they can hear about our services, it's really that middle market.
That's great. And on your website, which again we'll share in a moment, you provide a lot of great advice for folks that are looking, potentially for those examples and might need just some inspiration of, hey, areas that they might be overspending. And of course, they should contact you to talk more about it. But your blog and your website certainly has a lot of information. So we are quickly running out of time. But as an avid traveler myself, I am curious, what's your favorite destination out there?
Oh, wow. I would say Africa. For me, Africa was probably the most magical place on earth. I've been fortunate enough to do a couple safaris, one in Botswana and one in Tanzania. And I would encourage anybody to take a trip over there and experience that because it's just a whole other world. It's pretty awesome.
That is awesome indeed. And I've traveled a little bit down in Africa, and it's truly magical. So we got some cost savings advice, and we certainly got some travel advice as well. Aaron Stahl from P3 Cost Analytics. Aaron, lots of questions coming in. Lots of people want to learn more. How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can go to our website, which is just costanalyst.com. So COST analyst with an S.com. And then you can also reach me via email. It's probably the easiest way to get me, which is Aaron, AARON, at costanalyst.com.
All right. Well, Aaron Stahl, thank you so much for joining me on the air. Be sure to come back and keep us posted on those success stories. We love to hear them, and anybody that's helping small business is fantastic. Coming up after the break, I'm going to be joined by Chris Peterson, who has an interesting entrepreneurial story himself. He is an Army veteran, and he is the co-founder of Future Execs Accelerator. Looking forward to the conversation with him. We are the show all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship. We're going to be back in just a moment, but Chicago, don't touch that dial. Lots more advice information for all business owners. We talk all about business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Get on my website, shalomklein.com. That's where you can download podcasts from the hundreds of shows that have been on the air. We'll be right back after this quick break.
I've been talking about this